talking on optic neuritis and papilledema. Can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Starting with optic neuritis, it is an inflammatory, infective, or demyelination process that affects the optic nerve. So you all know by now what is optic nerve. It is the intraocular part of the optic nerve. So if there is involvement of that intraocular part of the optic nerve head, then it's known as optic neuritis. It may be because of inflammation, infection, or demyelination process. So it is classified ophthalmoscopically as retrobulbar neuritis, papillitis, and neuroretinitis. Etiology, idiopathic means cause is not known, hereditary, Leber's disease, demyelinating. Multiple sclerosis is the most common cause for optic neuritis. And another is neuromyelitis optica. Para-infectious cause like mumps, measles, chickenpox may also lead to optic neuritis. Infection causes like sinus-related syphilis and Lyme's disease. Toxic optic neuritis may be due to tobacco, methyl alcohol, quinine, ethambutol. So before starting ATT, we have to rule out whether that patient is having optic neuritis or not, because ethambutol may lead to optic neuritis. Now, what is retrobulbar neuritis? It is the involvement of optic nerve behind the eyeball. Because of that, the optic disc looks normal, as optic nerve head is not involved in case of retrobulbar neuritis. The patient doesn't see anything, but when we examine the patient, we also see nothing abnormal in the optic nerve, but the patient will be having retrobulbar neuritis. It is associated with multiple sclerosis. It occurs mostly in young female. It occurs in about 65% of cases of optic neuritis. And as I've already told you, in case of retrobulbar neuritis, the visual acuity of the patient will be very poor. But when we examine, there will be normal fundus. The disc looks normal in case of retrobulbar neuritis, and the macula will be also normal. And in case of papillitis, there will be pathological process which involves the optic nerve head primarily or secondary to contiguous retinal inflammation. In the case of papillitis, there will be hyperemia and edema of optic discs with peripapillary flame-shaped hemorrhages. It may be unilateral or bilateral. So in this picture, we can see there is edema of the optic discs. We can't see the disc margin in this condition. There's blurring of disc margin. And neuroretinitis is papillitis associated with inflammation of retinal nerve fiber layer and macular star. It is least common type. So here the optic disc is swollen and there is obliteration of optic cup, and it is associated with retinal nerve fiber and a macular star. So these are the pictures showing retrobulbar neuritis, papillitis, and neuroretinitis. In case of retrobulbar neuritis, optic discs look normal. In case of papillitis, there is hyperemia and edema of the optic discs. Whereas in case of neuroretinitis, there is hyperemia and edema of discs along with macular star. And the most common cause of retrobulbar neuritis is multiple sclerosis, or it may be due to ethmoiditis or Lyme disease, whereas papillitis may be due to infection and immunization in case of bilateral. Usually it is unilateral, but in case of children, if it's due to viral infection or due to immunization, it is bilateral. And multiple sclerosis is a common cause of papillitis, and this neuroretinitis is the least common type of optic neuritis. It may be due to cat scratching, disease, and syphilis. Now, demyelinating optic neuritis is a pathological process by which myelin of and about like 15 to 20% of patient present with optic neuritis. Whenever a patient comes to OPD with optic neuritis, we have to rule out multiple sclerosis. So we have to do MRI to rule out multiple sclerosis, and it is the most common cause of optic neuritis. And optic neuritis is some patients with established there is a correlation between multiple sclerosis and optic neuritis. So we should not forget to advise MRI for patients with optic neuritis. Clinical features: patient present with sudden profound vision loss and visual obscuration in bright light, impairment of color vision, especially with color and painful ocular movement. Patient experience slightly wider color patches or sparks phenomenon, which is the reversing elevation of body temperature. All phenomenon that moving object may be impaired in case of optic neuritis. So these are the symptoms that the patient may present with optic neuritis. And on examination, visual acuity will be reduced, color vision impairment, especially red, there'll be RAP positive, impairment of sensitivity, visual defect shows central or central scotoma, reduced visually evoked potential. And on ophthalmoscopic examination, increased retroocular neuritis. That we see in 6.9 or better, and 85% to 6.12. Other parameters like color vision, contrast sensitivity, light brightness remain abnormal. It won't come back to normal. And a mild RAPD may persist, and optic atrophy may occur, particularly following recurrent attacks. And 10% of patients develop chronic neuritis. Now, today's next topic is papilledema. These two topics are very important. Papilledema is optic disc swelling, which is associated with increased intracranial pressure, and it's always bilateral. So there's a difference between disc swelling and papilledema. Okay, so disc swelling is edema of the disc in absence of raised intracranial pressure, which cause visual impairment. But papilledema is the disc edema in presence of raised intracranial pressure. So this is the difference between disc swelling and papilledema. And this papilledema develops as a result of stasis of exoplasm in the prelaminar region of optic disc due to alteration in pressure gradient across the lamina cribosa. It develops within 1 to 5 days of raised intracranial pressure, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to subside. So these are some causes of disc edema, like inflammatory causes like papillaritis, neuroretinitis, uveitis, ocular hypertrophy, vascular causes like CRPO, diabetic papillopathy. These are the causes of random or lesions, spaced out by intracranial lesions like intracranial hemorrhages like auricular hemorrhage, cerebral hemorrhage, tumors of spinal cord, idiopathic intracranial hypertension, cerebral sinus thrombosis, systemic cause like malignant hypertension, pregnancy-induced hypertension, blood हेलो सो कहाँसम्म पुगे थियो
Yes, ma'am.
कहाँ स्टप भएको थियो मेरो
Papillary सम्म छ
प्यापिलिटेमाको फर्स्ट स्लाइडसम्म मात्र हेर्न पाएको थियो
हजुर
ल धेरै त बाँकी छैन होला यो भइसक्यो Am I audible?
यहाँसम्म भयो म्याम
यो हो यहाँदेखि लाइन गयो Okay, fine. So you boy enter. So I have already told that optic disc swelling with increased intracranial pressure is papilledema. And there's a difference between disc swelling and papilledema. Like disc swelling is disc edema in absence of raised intracranial pressure, whereas papilledema is the disc edema in presence of raised intracranial pressure. And this papilledema develops as a result of stasis of exoplasm in the prelaminar region of optic disc due to alteration in pressure gradient across the lamina cribosa. It develops within 1 to 5 days of raised intracranial pressure and takes 6 to 8 weeks to subside. And these are the causes of disc edema, like inflammatory causes include papillitis, neuroretinitis, uveitis, ocular hypotony, vascular causes like CRVO, diabetic papillopathy, AION. Orbital causes include orbital cellulitis, Graves' orbitopathy. Infiltrative causes include leukemia, lymphoma. And etiology of papilledema are due to obstruction of the ventricular system by congenital or acquired lesions, space-occupying intracranial lesions, intracranial infections like meningitis, encephalitis, diffuse cerebral edema due to blunt head trauma, intracranial hemorrhages like subarachnoid hemorrhage, cerebral hemorrhage, tumors of spinal cord, idiopathic intracranial hypertension, cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. Systemic causes include malignant hypertension, pregnancy-induced hypertension, blood disc crisis, nephritis, and hypersecretion of CSF by choroid plexus tumor. So the patient with papilledema presents with headache, nausea, vomiting, blurring of vision, and in early stage, pupillary reaction may be normal, but in late stage, RAPT will be positive. And on ophthalmoscopic examination, there will be elevated hyperemic discs, blood disc margin, obliteration of cup, tortuous vessels, superficial hemorrhages, hard exudates in form of incomplete star, absence of spontaneous venous pulsation, patterns lines, radial retinal lines cascading from the optic disc, visual field defects shows enlargement of blind spot. And papilledema is normally bilateral, but in these two conditions, it is unilateral. In case of Foster-Kennedy syndrome, it's associated with olfactory or sphenoidal meningioma and frontal lobe tumors. Here, optic atrophy occurs on one side of lesion and papilledema on the other side. So the papilledema is unilateral. Whereas in case of pseudo-Foster-Kennedy syndrome, there will be unilateral papilledema due to any cause and a pre-existing optic atrophy on the other side. So there are 4 stages of papilledema: early, established, chronic, and atrophic. In case of early papilledema, visual symptoms are absent, visual acuity will be normal, optic disc shows hyperemia and mild elevation. Disc margins appear indistinct, initially nasal, then lateral, inferior, and temporal. There will be loss of previous spontaneous venous pulsation, and visual field will be normal in case of early papilledema. Only there will be blurring of disc margin with obliteration of the cup. And in case of established papilledema, there will be transient blurring of vision. Visual acuity may be normal or reduced. Optic discs show severe hyperemia, moderate elevation with indistinct margin, and obliteration of cup. There will be venous engorgement, peripapillary flame-shaped hemorrhages, cottonwool spots, and heart exudates. And visual field shows enlargement of blind spot. And the third stage is chronic papilledema, where optic discs are markedly elevated with a champagne cup appearance. Cottonwool spots and hemorrhages are absent. Optociliary shunt and drusen-like crystalline deposits may be present on disc surface, and visual field begins to constrict in case of chronic papilledema. And the end stage is atrophic papilledema, where visual acuity is severely impaired, develops after 6 to 9 months of chronic papilledema. Optic discs are dirty gray colored, slightly elevated in distant margins. So in this picture, we can see pale optic discs, which is atrophic papilledema. Retinal arterioles are narrowed and veins become less congested. Whitish thickening develops around the vessels, and there is contraction of visual field in case of atrophic papilledema. And this is very important, how to differentiate between papilledema and papillitis. Papilledema is always bilateral, and papillitis is unilateral. There will be transient blurring of vision in papilledema, where in case of papillitis, there is marked loss of vision. Pain is absent in papilledema, whereas pain present on ocular movement in case of papillitis. Discs swell up to 2 to 6 diopter, whereas in case of papillitis, usually not more than 3 diopter disc swells. There is marked venous engorgement in papilledema, whereas there is less venous engorgement in papillitis. Retinal hemorrhages are marked in papilledema, whereas it's absent in case of papillitis. Heart exudates are markedly present in papilledema, whereas absent in papillitis. In case of visual field defect, there will be enlargement of blind spot in case of papilledema, whereas in case of papillitis, central or centrocecal scotoma will be present. On FFA, pool of dye occurs due to leakage, whereas in case of papillitis, minimal leakage of dye is seen in FFA. FFA means fundus fluorescence angiography. Now coming to differential diagnosis of papilledema, pseudopapillitis, pseudopapilledema, and drusen of the optic disc. So in case of pseudopapillitis, it's seen in high hypermetropia. Porous opticus is small, and the optic nerve fibers are heaped up, which leads to, which seems like blurring of margin. There will be venous engorgement, hemorrhages, and exudates are not present in case of pseudopapillitis. Now coming to management of papilledema. It is neurological emergency. So CT scan or MRI has to be done to reveal the cause of papilledema. And after that, treat the cause. From control of raised intracranial pressure resolves papilledema. So if the raised intracranial pressure is controlled, then it will subside, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to subside. But if the condition persists, post-papillomatus optic atrophy develops and permanent blindness occurs. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you. So any questions? First of all, am I audible?